Hey guys, well, it's Friday again, and so this is another edition of Lame Humor. Very brief one today, or a little bit shorter than usual. First thing I wanted to say is that last week I accidentally had some things that actually bordered on being funny, so I apologize for that, and I promise to get back to the really lame, senseless humor today. I did get some response on my husband advice. I wanted to give you a little bit more of that. Guys, here's a little tip for you. Tip number 2. If you guys are going out to dinner or something where you dress up and your wife looks in the mirror and says, geez, this dress really makes me look fat. And she looks over to you and says, well, do you have something positive to say? Just think of something positive to say. The thing you don't want to say is, well, at least your eyesight is really good. Don't want to say that. That's not the effect that you want to have in that situation. So here's some lame and useless humor. Here's some riddles for you. So what lies at the bottom of the ocean and can't sit still? That would be a nervous wreck. How do you keep your bagels from being stolen? You should know that. You put locks on them. And for you exercise buffs out there, there's a new fitness craze that's sweeping the country. It's called diddly squats. Yeah, it's for people that really don't like to exercise that much. From the neighborhood crime report, I just saw a local turtle was mugged by a gang of teenage snails, and no one was hurt seriously, but in the police report, the turtle said that it just all happened so fast. That's what the report said. Ernie's doing okay. Everyone always asks me about Ernie. They're still trying to work out their problems. He always has not the best solutions for their arguments. His wife told him that, you never take me any place expensive. So he took her to the gas station, and that really didn't go over well. It wasn't what she was thinking either. Some of you have asked about my dad. I don't talk about him a whole lot. He was a really nice guy. My dad's problem was that he had a habit of kind of putting his foot in his mouth and kind of saying the wrong thing at the wrong time. I can remember when I was younger, we had some new neighbors that moved in next door, and my mom was talking one morning and said, our new neighbors, I've noticed them, and he kisses his wife every morning before he goes to work. And it's so sweet, why can't you do that? And my dad says, well, I can't, I haven't even met her yet. So that wasn't really the right response for that at that point. I do remember asking my dad when we were sitting at dinner one night how much it cost to get married, and he said basically, I don't know because I'm still paying for it. That didn't go really well over at the dinner table as well. I finally got to the dentist last week, things being lifted, so that was great. They told me a bizarre story about a guy that wandered into the dentist office next door and said, I need to see the doctor right away. So they took him in the back and put him in a room, and the dentist came in and said, what's the problem? And he said, well, I totally believe that I'm a moth. And the dentist said, you believe that you're a moth? Well, if you believe that you're a moth, you should be seeing a psychiatrist, not being at the dentist's office. And he said, I am seeing a psychiatrist. And he said, well, what are you doing here then? He said, well, your light was on. Light, moth, was on. Then there were the couple of pirates that hadn't seen each other for a long time. They were reminiscing about old times, and of course, he almost didn't recognize his pirate friend. He had a peg leg and a hook for an arm and a patch over his eye, and he said, geez, what happened to you? And he said, well, our ship got attacked, my leg was blown up, so I had to get a peg for my leg. When I fell into the water, I was attacked by a shark and bit my hand off, and that's where the hook came from. And once I got out of the hospital, I was walking down to the dock, and a huge seagull came and pooped right in my eye. And he said, that's not a good story there. You can't get blind from having a seagull poop on you. And he said, no, but that was the first day I was using my hook. So you can imagine how that went. Didn't fare too well. Hey, here's a public service announcement for you guys. This is kind of the time of year when people like to go hiking. So if you like to go hiking up in the woods, Jeff, you might want to know about this. It's very important to know the difference between the different kinds of bears. Now, the brown bear is not really aggressive. They usually don't cause a lot of harm to humans. They leave you alone. And just the thing to do with brown bears is just attach some small bells on your backpack, and when you go hiking, they'll actually hear that and they'll stay away from humans when they hear those bells. So that's the brown bear. Now, the grizzly bear is another story. Those are very aggressive bears, and they will attack. So you want to avoid those. So if you see any grizzly bear droppings, what you want to do is you want to just calmly back away and leave the area immediately. And it's easy to identify the grizzly bear droppings because they have a lot of small bells in them. So that's how you can tell which ones are grizzly bear droppings. Then there's one last story I wanted to share with you. This is for all of our eternal optimists out there. I would give a shout out to Ryan for this one as well. I found out about some new research that they were doing, and one of the leading psychiatrists actually was testing between optimists and pessimists, and they were using twin boys from the research study. And the first thing he did is he took the twin that was the pessimist and took him to a room with brand new toys to play with. And the kid just went and sat in the corner on the floor and was all dejected, and the psychiatrist said, "Why are you sad?" And he said, "Well, I would probably break all these toys anyway, and then I would get in trouble." And so he, noted the response. So he took the optimist twin into another room that was piled 10 feet high with horse manure. He let this twin in there, and he just climbed up to the top of this huge mound of manure and very excitedly starting just digging with his hands through this horse manure. And the psychiatrist said, "Well, why are you so happy?" And he said, "Well, with all this manure, there's got to be a pony in here somewhere." That would be the optimist there. So I'm going to get out of here early today. I wanted to just share a few things with you, and I will just leave you with this one piece of advice, and that is that light travels faster than sound, and that's why some people will appear bright and intelligent until you hear them speak. So you can take that to the bank. We'll talk to you guys soon. Have a great weekend.